Economic data shows the pandemic continues to weigh on the labor market, with weekly jobless claims coming in at 793,000 compared to estimates of 760,000. This comes as the Biden administration looks to pass a $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill that includes more direct payments for Americans and extended unemployment support. Joining us for more, Jared Bernstein, a member of President Biden's Council of Economic Advisors. Very good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
So clearly a good early approval rating on this front, 62%. Brings a smile to your face, as I can see. How long is that sustainable, realistically, before we get into the weeds of it? I mean, do you have to be pretty much perfect to keep it above 60%?
There's a lot of wind in the sails of this administration for very good reasons that I think are going to help explain that rate. And I don't want to predict the future, but should continue to boost it. If you think about the way the president is taking on what is so key, not just to the American people from a health perspective, but from an economic perspective as well, which is finally gaining control of the virus, not just distributing and producing the vaccine, but getting shots in arms. It is clear to the president, and it is key and at the core of the American Rescue Plan, that those two tasks are completely complementary. They're not separable. And so the American Rescue Plan is calibrated to do just that. Make sure that we finally get ahead of the COVID curve, put the virus behind us, and launch a robust, inclusive, racially equitable recovery. That's what the plan does, and that's what the president is fighting for.
How fearful are you that this is going to be the only major economic stimulus bill of his time in office? I guess we've already got a glimpse of how difficult it can be, even when all those factors apply that suggest this is needed. How hard it is to get bipartisan support?
I am confident that this is far from our only bite at the apple. Very confident about that. And, you said an important word, bipartisan. Of course, we've lived in partisan times and we see lots of squabbling going on. The bipartisan support for this plan, and I'm not just talking about Congress, is actually very deep. If you look at recent surveys, majorities of all political stripes are telling us that we need to do precisely what the American Rescue Plan sets out to do. Control the virus, distribute the vaccine, launch the recovery by providing the necessary relief to get families and businesses to the other side of this and reopen the schools. That's just so important to the American people. I don't care if they have a D or an R next to their name. We have 400 governors and mayors who've signed a letter saying, get this done quickly. We have support from former economists from the Trump and Bush administration, as well as from prior Democratic administrations. There's just a lot of very positive bipartisan energy about getting this done. Now, are we exchanging ideas with folks on the other side of the aisle? Of course, as we speak. But urgency and getting this relief to the American people quickly is the president's top priority.
Jared, as it goes through Congress, is minimum wage going to be off the table?
The president is committed to increasing the minimum wage. Now, there are parliamentary questions which I have to do with the machinations of how this process goes through the Congress, having to do with the minimum wage, and those are nothing that we have an answer to yet. I think from the perspective of the president and the American people, budget process is not the most important thing here. The most important thing is making sure low-wage essential workers, whether they're fulfillment workers in factories, whether they're healthcare workers, whether they're folks in the retail sector, whether they're sanitation workers, these are people who are helping to keep this economy going. And we know for a fact that tens of millions of them are on or near the minimum wage, which at $7.25 in some states in this country, that's the federal level, other states have raised it above that, is nowhere near a living wage. And that's something that the president intends to do something about as quickly as we can.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.